Hey FlossTube, I'm Michelle. This is my romantic tangle. A couple of FlossTube updates ago, I told you how happy I was to have got my hands on the Women's Day book of American Needlework by Rose Wilder Lane. It goes with a box set of patterns, and that box set of patterns is phenomenal. I'm basing that on the video Ardith did. I still have not got my hands on my mom's copy to take a closer look at it, but when I found the book, and I saw it was by Rose Wilder Lane, and it was in the thrift store for 20 cents. I was kind of giddy. A couple of days ago, I sat down and made the time to read through it from cover to cover, and I'm less giddy than I was. I will share my opinions about this book because I totally recommend the box set of patterns. I don't recommend the book so much. It is divided into sections. So this was published in 1961 when the powers that be at Women's Day decided that someone needed to document American needlework and women's work through history. It sounds almost like they weren't looking forward to the task. It has sections on embroidery, crewel work, cross-stitch, needlepoint, patchwork, applique, quilting, hooking, crochet, knitting, weaving, candle wicking, and rug making. I just read that off the back. It's a nice book. It has some nice illustrations of historic works of needlework. It has a really great section on embroidery stitches. There are a lot of stitches here I have not heard of or seen before, but I can't promise you that those same stitches aren't in the dozen or so other embroidery books I own, because I might just have looked past them at the pretty projects. The book shows you some projects. There is one pattern for each of the different styles of needlework. The cross-stitch sampler is the one that makes my heart go pity-pat, that I absolutely want to make. The rest are kind of meh. They're representative of the art forms, and there is nothing wrong with that, but compared to the gorgeous stuff in the box set, this isn't all that great. I think Rose Wilder Lane liked to talk about history a lot more than she liked to talk about needlework. I've been homeschooling my kids for 20 years. We have read through some really dry, really obnoxious history books. I would put this up there with any of them. We'll start with a quote. We'll give you an idea. The workers who cleared the forests, planted the crops, hunted for the fur traders, and did the brewing, building, spinning, and weaving were peasants hardly more free than serfs, bound servants no more free than slaves, poor families imprisoned for poverty, who were headed out of debtors' prisons and shipped to America, and poor girls who, having no dowries, were auctioned in American ports to woodsmen and freed servants who could afford to buy wives. It all goes on like that. There is one quote in this book. I can't read you the quote, because if I read you the quote, well, first of all, you're going to be mad at me. Second of all, I think YouTube will ding me. So we'll see if I can condense it. The Binet theory was that we have all our intelligence in our teens and do not develop it thereafter. So a notion spread that the average American adult is mentally only 12 years old. Jump down a little farther. This wave of contempt for Americans was disastrous in many ways and incidentally injurious to our embroidery. The mammoth producers of its materials offered us only hideous designs which children could do in the crude colors. I have no words, guys. I have no words. The authors, and yes, this was written in 1961. I was not alive in 1961, so maybe it came across better back then. It's an interesting book. I am glad that I found it. I will keep it with Mom's box set of the patterns. like I said, it is heavier on the history than the needlework, but it's the kind of American history that makes you, if you didn't already have an understanding of American history, this wouldn't tell you anything that would make any sense. It's written for people who already know the history. And I feel like in the chapter on rugs, she talks about button rugs and petal rugs. I want to know what those are, but she talks about how her mother made them. But there's no illustration or explanation of what they were, because maybe in 1961 everyone still knew what those were. The Little House on the Prairie tie-in is kind of interesting. She talks about her aunts doing different crafts. That would have been Mary and Carrie, I think. She talks about things that Laura made. So it's an intriguing book, but I wouldn't go out of my way to get my own copy for it if I didn't already have my own copy. If I had to prune down my book selection for space, I don't know that I would hang on to this one. It just kind of is what it is. And like I said, as a companion piece to the box set, we will keep them together because you might as well have both. But I'm not as excited as I was when I first found it. If you've read this and have a different opinion than me, please let me know. Or if you know of something else like this that is better, let me know. One of my other big objections was she talks about a quilt in this book. I think more than one, and in the back of my memory, I remember reading about those quilts. I know they know who made those quilts. Rose Wilder Lane in this book does not credit them to their creators. So I don't know if when she wrote this book, that information wasn't available. But if they were in museums, you would think they would be. I'm a little puzzled by that and a little disappointed by that. Not my favorite needlework book. Worth a peek if you want to read something written by Laura Ingalls Wilder's daughter, or if you want to read what goes along with the book or get an overview of American needlework told through lots and lots of history. Thanks for watching. I'm Michelle. This is My Romantic Tangle, and I'll be back with you with more videos soon.